respect matters a lot because as a human being, I feel like I'm just like anyone else, and that gives me high esteem. I'm high self-esteem to feel like if I'm treated by respect, I'm able to achieve anything, like goals like any other person.
I would say that a time I felt like I was treated with dignity and respect would be when I started my own business. As a woman working in the arts, most respected female artists choose not to have families. It's oftentimes once people realize that you have children in the arts, then as an artist you're not taken seriously anymore. And so I founded my own company and work with a lot of other mothers, and we bring our children with us to work. And it took a few years for our audience to grow accustomed to that. But as time went on, people started to get used to greeting our kids at the box office and to understand that having children present didn't mean that we were less committed to our work or less knowledgeable about what we were doing.
As much as you want to build yourself up, it's a lot harder. You know, you can tell yourself, I can do it, I got this, but I think when somebody else, when there's an outer person telling you and it's an external being, it's coming back at you. And so you feel like it's more than a feeling, it's more of that affirmation builds you up. You know, you run harder, you work harder, you see the accomplishment already done.
You know, people has grown up on different culture. People has grown up in different world and different continents. So as we grown up in Africa, we just respect elders, you know. And elders, they don't treat us like the way we treat them. But here, they respect everybody. And I really appreciate that. They're really cool.
A unique place. I grew up in Berkeley, California in the 1960s. And at that time, Berkeley, California was a hotbed of political activism and unrest, and people were fomenting change all the time. And when it was probably about 1968, and I was volunteering for the Black Panthers.
At my college, we had done hijab for a day, where basically non-Muslim girls wore the headscarf, so they could see what it's like to be a Muslim woman for the day and experience all the things that we go through. And when they did, we had like a little meeting after, and the girls had told us like they understood what it was like and they felt really bad and they wanted to help us through our struggle. So I felt for once, rather than having dirty looks or people yelling stuff at us when we're walking, someone understood our pain and someone respected us for the struggle we go through, rather than just thinking we're forced to wear it or it's just a scarf on our head.
It confirms for me that I am not less committed to what I'm passionate about because because I've made the choice to have a family, and I deserve the respect of the people around me, even though my life is full in other areas.
Africa and here, it's different. When I was in Africa, when you go to school, you have to pay money. Sometimes, when like we get mad in Africa, like when they beat you, like when you get hurt, you don't call like 911 like in America, but they just beat you, and when you get hurt, you just go to the house. And in Africa, the teacher, they're different. When he asks you a question, like when you don't answer, you don't give you like 1 moment. They just like beat you.
A lot of people don't know that the Black Panthers had a breakfast program. They had a lot of social service programs. They weren't just out being militant and fighting for rights, they were also serving the community, helping the community lift itself up. And they had a program to deliver breakfast to kids. And so I volunteered for it. And at the time, I was about maybe 11 or 12 years old. I was the only white kid, only white face anywhere around.
Me acuerdo que sí, conocí una vez un grupo de hondureños, creo que eran, y estábamos hablando un poco sobre pues lo que íbamos a hacer en la vida, ¿no? Y ellos me miraron y me dijeron, ¿sabes qué? Tú tienes lo que se necesita para seguir adelante, tú tienes lo que se necesita para poder superar, tienes la oportunidad, estás en un lugar bien y ya lograste algo.
When my journey began, having been born in Israel, in Jerusalem, in a very privileged Israeli white Jewish community, and having taken the journey into the sphere of the oppressed, the sphere of the other, which are the Palestinians. And probably the most significant aspect of that was the respect and the dignity with which I was treated by the Palestinians, who had absolutely no reason in the world to treat me like that, because I am everything that was taken away from them. Their land, their water, their dignity, their rights.
And it was at a time when there was a lot of anger, understandably, in the black community against the white community, because all that anger that had been percolating for 400 years was finally given a voice. People were allowed to say, this is wrong, I've been treated badly, and I'm going to speak about it. And so there was anger, there was violence, and so a lot of people were afraid to go into the black community. I was young, I just wanted to do good, so I went and volunteered for the Black Panthers. And I showed up, this little blonde white kid, and everybody welcomed me with open arms. I was treated as though I was one of the family. My contribution was valued, my contribution was affirmed.
Just like my daddy was telling me, like, you're supposed to be to go to school every day, you're supposed to be to go to college, to finish your school. It's like, you're supposed to be to have like the good life, you know, better life, to get money, something like that. And something I was learning in my mind, it's like just to help my family, you know.
When I was about 19 years old, and at the time I was attending college and trying to get my degree, my bachelor's, and I was also working with moms, like individual families, and that work was really important to me, but it also didn't address the things that spoke to who I was as a refugee woman.
Like with that, with that teacher, she's just like, when I feel down or, finals are getting at me, and I feel like I can't do it, she's that person that assures me I can do it, even though you can't see the future, but she would be like, I know you can do better, I know you can be a successful person, I know that you're gonna do something great, that person that just reassured you, and it makes you feel like, you are gonna do something great, and it just makes you feel positive about yourself.
El momento que yo me sentí reafirmado en mi dignidad, lo puedo poner o se refleja en la parte profesional, ¿no? Cuando casi empezaba a trabajar, es cuando sientes estos miedos y estas cuestiones que no te sientes inseguro. Y yo creo que cuando sentí esa apreciación fue cuando tuve que vender mis primeras campañas publicitarias, cuando tuve que vender las primeras ideas, porque es difícil, porque es un intangible, es algo que no... ¿Cómo vendes una idea? ¿Cómo vendes un intangible? ¿No?
The school district was in a difficult spot because the superintendent was not performing his responsibilities as they needed to be done. I personally witnessed some of the mishaps that occurred by him. And then I also received communication from a number of members of the community who started calling me to let me know that they were concerned about what was going on. And I also received calls from both parents, but teachers as well. And I was in a position to have to make a really difficult decision.
So having realized all of these things, and then being told that it's actually significant that I took this and I should talk about it, that was unique. I felt that was special. So that helped me redefine my identity, redefine who I am as opposed to being this terrible oppressor. I'm somebody who's taken a journey and discovered something, and how I speak about that.
I met a few people who I think saw something in me that I maybe didn't see in myself and really invested in me in that. They started to prop me up and put me in positions where I was taking leadership roles, right? I was facilitating meetings all of a sudden. I was helping people figure out priority issues and areas to lift up. That moment just contributed so much to my own development that I feel like that I think is, for the first time, a time where elders or leaders, older community members respected what I had to say, trusted what I had to say, and put me intentionally up in front of people to help lead and mold discussions around what happened to my own community.
It was 6 years ago when I first came to the United States. when I felt like I was a foreigner, I didn't quite belong here. And that was the time when I see a person and when they affirm me, it feels really different because usually I'm not. Because I could not speak the language, nor I knew the culture.
I led the charge, so to speak, to put the gentleman on administrative leave and conduct an investigation into his behaviors for the district.
I actually don't have a story, and if I was, racking my brain to think about what is the story, when is that one time when I felt affirmed or felt like someone was treating me with dignity or with respect, and I realized that my whole life I've been treated with dignity, and I've been affirmed my whole life since infancy, and so I realized that it was important for me to come over and actually say that on camera, that it is important for me and for others like me to recognize that we are fortunate. And that not everybody is as fortunate as I am to be that affirmed or treated with respect and dignity, and that I need to recognize that and not take it for granted and not assume that other people have the same level of respect and dignity that I've been fortunate to have in my life.
There's something there that's unique that makes you feel very special, So that's, I have a great sense of gratitude to my Palestinian friends who encouraged me and made me feel this way. And that's really my inspiration too, to continue doing the work that I do.
So when I actually saw one of the very first friend I know, Gideon, he really tried to communicate with me and really tried to affirm that in some way I belong to the community in here.
I really wanted the school district that has a very strong reputation because it deserved it, to continue to deserve a chance to provide for kids so effectively.
Whatever was holding us back, we need to, I think, just let go of that. This is the time to really lean into our values and demand equity, justice, and basic fairness for all people. So I think using your voice is certainly one way you can affirm the dignity of others.